What's up, guys? Hey, happy holidays. And you know what that means for me? Not necessarily that I'm excited about the holidays, but that means Anaheim is that much closer. And honestly, that's my Christmas, that we're going to have racing every weekend again. And I've got a huge announcement. You guys, are you familiar with Sophia Phelps? She's won Loretta Lynn's 2 times in the women's division, which is probably the most prominent women's race in the United States. I grew up with her dad. We're good friends, and Sophia is going to come in here. Sometimes I get it, guys. I'm a little one-tracked, and I have my opinions. I'm going to bring in Sophia occasionally just to drop in a 1 or 2 minute clip and just give you guys just an idea of a woman's perspective, a woman that can flat haul ass, but she's not committed to a whole bunch. She's just going to do a few clips for us and just give a woman's opinion on racing and what it takes to be a top pro and just some different topics. And if you have any topics you want to hear from, just drop them in the comments and I'll let Sophia go for it. But I'm excited that she's going to be joining us for 2024. And check her out. Go follow Sophia Phelps on Instagram and let her know you're excited to see her segment. I'm going to talk about Ryder D Francesco and how he wound up where he's at in his career. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had it wrong. I definitely had it wrong on Ryder D. There were some things that I thought about him that just turned out to be not true, and I'm going to correct all that for you.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So guys, I want to talk about Ryder D Francesco. Ryder D Francesco is probably one of the most underrated talents that's coming up in this sport. I actually forgot. He's a true rookie in Supercross this year because he did the Futures 2 years ago. Remember when him and Chance Hymas were battling, and I think Chance Hymas ended up winning it, and then Chance went pro last year, but did only a certain amount of Supercross. Well, Ryder didn't get to race the Futures last year, and due to a huge bumble in his contract. By the way, his agent, who was Ricky Carmichael's buddy, shocker that somebody who represents Ricky Carmichael turns out to be kind of a knucklehead. This guy, JH, was his representative. They totally dropped the ball. This kid's ready to turn pro, and his agent did not get on the ball, didn't field offers. Needless to say, Ryder D Francesco is now with one of the best agents in the sport, Lucas Myrtle. And guess what? Now that he's with Lucas, he's on a team. He's on TLD Gas, a team that truly appreciates the skills that Ryder D Francesco brings to the table. One of the things about Ryder that I didn't know about, he is such a good tester. He's a better tester than a lot of veteran riders. He's going to make that entire team better just by bringing what he has to the table. And it's something that he didn't get at Kawasaki. Kawasaki, Mitch Payton, Dan Fahey, those guys, they're like, it was bumbled so badly. This kid that Kawasaki supported all for so many years finally goes pro, and Mitch doesn't want him, or he says he does want him, but Kawasaki doesn't have the money. Kawasaki says it's Mitch. Meanwhile, Ryder D's going like, well, what's the deal? Needless to say, Ryder has a home with a team that understands the TLD team. Tyler Keefe, Troy Lee's son, Max Lee, who's the team manager, who's young, but he's really on the ball. He understands it, and he has a lot of the resources, and he leans on them. That is if you talk to the riders, that's one of the best teams to be on. They really do understand. It's not like the meat grinder you get when you go to Star Yamaha or Pro Circuit Kawasaki or KTM. Those teams, when you take an amateur rider, they essentially throw them in, and if they don't do well, they just grab another rider. TLD is not like that. They stick with their guys, and they're willing to grow with their riders and help them become who they think they can. And they're excited about Ryder D Francesco. This is a kid who was one of the highest touted amateur prospects, but just due to mismanagement and then Kawasaki's complete lack of an amateur system to develop guys to become pro, like that system is a joke. The fact that Mitch handles the pros and then the amateurs, and they don't know who, Mitch doesn't tell them what amateurs to support, and then they want him. It's a complete cluster. And guess what? The talent that they've produced shows it. All the guys that they've brought up from the bottom, that they've brought up in their amateur system either washed out or on another team because they fumbled it big time. But one of the big things about Ryder D that I didn't know, I was under the assumption, and I've talked to a lot of the older motocross racers, Ben Riddle and some of these guys who were really highly touted amateurs, and they said they made a ton of money as amateurs. That money dried up. It's not like that anymore. Ryder D Francesco and his family, which they're not one of these, independently wealthy families. They're not in the poorhouse, but they were essentially supporting that amateur career with a little bit of support from Kawasaki. It's not near the level that I thought it was. And nobody talks about that. So 10 years ago, amateur riders made a ton of money and they were overpaid. But after Jet Reynolds is pretty much the last one that had a really good amateur contract. Those are gone. Those days are over. And that's terrifying. That is absolutely terrifying because that tells you these manufacturers don't have this money to waste. And while people want to talk about the state of the sport, how about you just take a look right there? If manufacturers that what the sport relies on, because they don't pay purse money really, are starting to cut their amateur support, when does it reach the pros? And if you don't pay guys, when they decide to pull out? But that's a different argument. But Ryder D is not someone who was spoon-fed. This kid has gone under the radar, and I think it's because he doesn't have that flash. He doesn't ride over his head. He reminds me of a Ryan Dungey, and I just think you're going to see good things with him. He is so good at starts, so he always puts himself in a good opportunity. The knock on him last year was he faded, and that's true. He did fade quite a bit, but he's more mature. He's better prepared. And guess what? I didn't know this. He wasn't even, he was injured during the Supercross, so he didn't really get to ride the futures or anything like that. And that was coming off the whole, he wanted to go pro, but his contract was a mess. And Kawasaki put him on the pro team, but never they announced him on the pro team 2 weeks before the first national. Nobody even approached him and said, hey, you're on the pro team. And he was on his amateur contract last summer. He did not get paid like the other pros. It was a lean year money-wise. Essentially, he rode for his bonuses and whatever he could get out there and whatever little purse money was available, which was not a lot. I've covered that numerous times. Yeah, and he was still waiting and he was patient because he wanted to stay with Kawasaki because they're a loyal family. Their dad raced flat track. They understand how it works. But then they just got they were just pushed back and forth. Like they're telling him there's no money. Meanwhile, while they're telling him there's no money, like not too far after they told him there's no money, Kawasaki signs, Levi Kitchen. And that was really, really frustrating. And that was the big alarm that went off with the Difrancescos that they needed to find something else. And TLD couldn't be happier to have them. I am expecting good things. I don't expect him to be Supercross champion this year. But, he's a rookie. Where we should actually be measuring, Ryder D Francesco, and I'm guilty of this also because I've seen him for so long. He's a name. I forgot he's actually a Supercross rookie because he has been in front of us for so long. Whereas, we've only seen Daxton Bennett like last year, unless you really pay attention to amateurs. But Ryder D has been a household name for a long time. But this is his first full Supercross season. And obviously, the test track doesn't tell the whole story, but he is riding really good. And like I said, the skill that he has that people aren't paying attention to is how good he is at diagnosing the machine and figuring out what it needs to get better. And it's something Kawasaki completely ignored with him. Like, seriously, they were like, oh, here's the bike, ride it. Whereas TLD is a smaller, it's a team that communicates a lot more. Tyler Keefe truly understands what it takes to go racing. He's a rider's manager, but he's actually not the manager. Max Lee is, but Tyler Keefe is very, very involved, and he's one of the most solid dudes that I've dealt with in the pits. And I'm glad, and I cannot wait to see what this TLD team does. I think the whole team's going to be a surprise. They got Jorge Prado riding the first 3 rounds for them. They've got Barsha, who's coming off some pretty serious injuries. He's always good early, but I don't know how he's going to be recovered. And then you got Pierce Brown, my Utah boy. But yeah, I'm excited. That TLD Gas team is coming in a little under the radar, but I expect good things. And hey guys, if Speaking of cold and flu season, Coach Rob's store, get yourself some immune support stuff over there. Coach has got bundles to support the nutrition to make you feel a lot better. Epic Garage Designs. Guys, Epic Garage Designs will make your garage look like a showroom for really reasonable prices. Go to epicgaragedesigns.com, check out the website. They ship anywhere in the country, and just, give them a follow on Instagram too. They're a great follow on Instagram. Another thing I want to talk about, and this is a tough one, but I will handle this. This is many of you guys that race motocross and ride motocross. I don't know if it's our personalities or the lack of excitement when racing is done, but a lot of motocross racers are older motocross racers, and I think it's a combination of concussions and other aspects that lead to a depression. And then we're all men and we're not supposed to talk about it, and it winds up when people unfortunately take their own life. I've lost a lot of friends, but I want to tell you, if you're struggling, especially during this holiday season when a lot of people are struggling, check out, and this is not a one-size-fits-all treatment, but check out Dr. Edwards and his ketamine therapy. If you're struggling, I've done the therapy. It's awesome. And it's not a magic bullet. It's not. But it absolutely helps, and it can really help you work through whatever you need to get through to understand things that you normally wouldn't. And I would never, ever, ever recommend ketamine without a proper doctor. Dr. Edwards does this. He's a licensed anesthesiologist. He understands it. He studies it. He's a former racer himself, and he understands some of the issues that people deal with. He also deals with MMA fighters. Guess what? Very similar personalities, a lot of head injuries. And so if you're struggling this holiday season, reach out to Dr. Edwards. I'm going to put his Instagram up here. Follow Dr. Edwards on there. Get his book, The Ketamine Therapy. Ketamine Therapy, he does it in Florida and in Las Vegas, but there's lots of other clinics, and he can direct you to one in your area. Ride strapped. It's almost election season, and support a company that shares American values and supports freedom. Ride strapped. Let's Go Brandon goggles. You got your Trump shirt. You got your red pill. Check out ridestrap.com. Precision Transport. If you're tired of dealing with trucking companies that jerk you around, can't find tracking numbers, then when you call them, they act like they're doing you a favor by even talking to you, that's not Precision Transport. Precision Transport works in the sport of motocross. And like I say, I got some big stuff coming. I can't talk about it yet, but I'm excited. Support these guys. You'll be glad you did. And now with the Supercross season just about to kick off, I want to talk about something. The UFC event that they had, UFC 296 with Colby Covington and Sean Strickland doing a press conference, getting into a fist fight, brought up a lot of things. People are like, oh, you want crap talking motocross? No, I don't want Colby Covington. What I want is authentic people. I do not want them doing fake personalities like Colby Covington and pretending and lying and doing the ridiculous stuff. I do not want that. That's not what I want out of my athlete. But I do want my athletes to not be scared to ruffle feathers. Tell us what you think. Tell us your personality, where you came from. Do not, when you're doing these, when you're doing all these interviews prior to Anaheim 1, don't be scared to be a little confident. Don't be scared to share your fears. Don't be scared to just let people know who you are. Tell us the why we should care about you, other than just you're cool, you thank your sponsors, and that's it. Tell us your story. Let us know who you are. Let us know what makes you tick. Just be authentic. Be whoever you are. If you're quiet, stay quiet. If you're a loudmouth in the pits, be a loudmouth on the mic. That's all I ask for. So anyway, guys, remember, subscribe. I appreciate it. And all you guys that have reached out to Sean Brennan on my behalf, listen, I know he's never going to give me a press pass, but I appreciate the fact that you guys all hit him up and let him know we matter here at the Cooksey Mob. So thanks, guys. I'll catch you later.